Hi everyone, I'm Nicole Anderson and I am from PHA, Guildford and Surrey Hills. Today I'm delighted to have in the so-called room Victoria Bolton-Stanley. Victoria is one of our very precious practitioner members. Victoria is both a yoga and meditation teacher. And I think most of you who are beginning to understand the premise behind PHA is all about integrated health for the people, by the people, and of course, the mind-body connection, and of course, spirit peace all matters. So I'm delighted to have Victoria with us today to kind of take us on a journey, her journey, and why PHA is a movement she feels aligned to. So welcome, Victoria.
Thank you, Nicole. Lovely to be here.
Fantastic. Well, why don't you give our listeners, our new members, a little bit of background, because I think you'll be new to many people. So just like a quick whiz tour of how you've got to where you've got to, and a bit of your background would be brilliant.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you. So I'm based in Farnham in Surrey, and I'll start with my journey into yoga and meditation, I guess. I'd grown up with yoga as part of my life. My mum had practiced, and I moved to New York in 1999 and found this amazing little studio. This guy had like padded the walls, padded the floor. It was incredible. Anyway, it just kicked off my love of yoga, and it stuck with me ever since. And I practiced all sorts of different kinds of yoga. And about 6 years ago, I thought, oh, I'd like to learn a bit more for myself, and went on to do some teacher training. And as part of the teacher training, they ask you to teach a number of classes to complete the course. And a few local studios in Farnham where I'd practiced said, oh, feel free to use our space. So I borrowed their space, taught my prerequisite classes, passed my course, and thought nothing more of it. But one of the studios came back and she said, oh, what do you think about teaching? And I said, well, I love giving tips to my friends. I'm so passionate about yoga. I don't mind helping my friends in that way, but I hadn't actually thought about teaching. All right, I'll give it a go. One class while the kids are at school, I'll see how it is. And totally addicted. It's a practice in itself. You've got the practice of doing the yoga yourself, or you've got the practice of teaching, and they're two completely different things, but both bring me equal joy. So along the way, I taught at various studios. Then we had the dreaded lockdowns, and work in my industry really ground to a halt unless you could practice and teach online. And I took a pause for a bit because my kids were homeschooling and I felt like I wanted to commit some time to them. But come September 2020, I started teaching online. And this year we opened a studio at our home in my back garden. And I teach from there now just to have the autonomy. And I really enjoy teaching one-to-ones as well, giving people the help that they need with injuries or mental blocks that they have with their practice. Some people come to me because they're not feeling like they want to practice in a group environment. They're just not confident enough in that way. So yeah, I really enjoyed that, and just have little small classes. Sometimes we practice outside as well. So that's the yoga side of things. But the meditation doesn't stand alone. Yoga is a moving meditation itself. And when people arrive at a class and they say, my life's so busy, I don't know how I managed to carve out the hour to get here, but they practice, and at the end of that hour or however long, they've forgotten all of the things that were keeping them busy. And I think part of that is because I teach quite a strong focused practice where they're having to really think. There's lots of advice on how to get into their body, so they can't be thinking about everything they're doing in their day, which is a wonderful release. But the
Amazing.
meditation, gosh, that's been such a joyful journey for me. I was backpacking as a kid in my 20s, and I spent a lot of time on my own. I went to Borneo, got on a plane, didn't tell anyone anywhere I was going. The plane had major turbulence. I thought, oh my God, this is going down. I haven't told anyone I've got on this plane. It didn't, as we can see. And I spent a lot of time there, and there weren't many young Western females backpacking their way around Borneo on their own at that time. And so I was in my own head a lot, to the point where at one point I saw myself in a mirror and I didn't know it was me. And I waved at it and I was like, oh, it waved at the same time. Oh, it's me. Like it had been that long that I'd seen myself in a mirror or seen other Westerners. Anyway, I spent a lot of time in my own head, and I thought, oh, there's something to this not mulling things over with someone else, this not being influenced by other people's view of the world. I'll spend more time in silence. I sit in my little room when I was backpacking, you know, finding this inner stillness. And eventually I thought I'd like to have some guidance on this. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing here. It feels right. I'm having a clearer head. I'm seeing more joy in the world. So I went and signed myself up to a 10-day silent retreat, as you do when you've never really practiced meditation. So it was quite a baptism of fire in Thailand. I mean, it may as well have been silent because they didn't speak any English. So I had no idea what was going on anyway. I know, shocker.
Wow.
That just took me on such an amazing journey. And eventually, when I moved back to London, I found the North London Buddhist Centre, and I went along for what I thought was drop-in meditation sessions, but ended up studying the Dharma, the Buddha's teachings, and taking my vows. And then I moved out of London. I really missed the community. In Buddhism, we call it a Sangha, and I really missed practicing with other people. So I just set up my own community and started guiding people in meditation and enjoying sitting together. And that journey has then taken me to the practice of sharing, again, like yoga, where I've learned so much through exploring the Dharma, exploring more contemporary teachings, and finding a way to make them accessible for other people. So all of it has been about my own passion and sort of stumbling into sharing it with others through a need to just express myself in that way. And it's an absolute pleasure. It's really
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And life's journey, you know, I mean, I practice yoga regularly, but I wouldn't have got to yoga had I not had some major hurdles in my life. And, you know, that tipping point you talk about, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And exactly the same. I had a massive injury, you know, physical injury, and I couldn't do anything. Eventually someone said, just try and get your body moving. And the closest thing I could even just tolerate was just slow movement, hatha yoga, and now I'm addicted, totally addicted. So completely understand that. But what a journey, what a life journey. I mean, you've touched on a number of things there. You've touched on, you know, really how your practice has led you to be that empathetic guide for others. You've talked about that, you know, that observer profile, that being the observer in your life through meditation, to the extent that you didn't even physically recognize yourself. I mean, I've had moments of that, but I think we all like aspire to that, you know, that kind of piece of point of neutrality, right, where you can really abstract from life. So tell us about some of the, you know, if you can, I mean, the last 2 years, let's not even, you know, dig into it, but of course, a massive watershed globally, good or bad or indifferent for many. But what have you seen come out of the last 2 years and the people you are now touching with your work? Has there been a shift in why they come to the practice versus what they had come before? Are you seeing that, you know, newer types of people come into practice, or are you seeing a heightening, a keener interest, people wanting to go deeper, further? Tell us a little bit about the shift you see through the work you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I will touch on the last 2 years in as much as I had to shift the way that I worked online, and the meditation particularly was, I think, because there's a lot of free yoga offering. So that was really difficult for independent people like me who needed to earn money from it, when even deliciously Ella's offering free yoga on her website.
Absolutely.
How do I even go there? But the meditation was insane. People were joining from Uruguay, from Spain. They were joining from all over just to make that connection in what they felt was a safe environment, but also because they're all stuck in their homes and they were so goddamn lonely. And they just needed to be with other people, and they needed that accountability in their practice to show up and have someone say, you're here once a week, and therefore you're putting that into your own practice, and it's like the mainstay, and what you do in between times is keeping you topped up, and then you come back and you're accountable again, and you're regrouping with the way that you practice, and you're sharing your experience with others. So I noticed a huge need for people to connect with others through the time that they were shut in their houses, and it was coming from all over the world. So it was a really beautiful time, actually. And since we're in the UK not in lockdown anymore, that's really tailed off. My online work has tailed off, which is fine. It's how it should be. We need to be with each other. And so what I'm finding now, and I'm sure it's the energy we're giving out, the people that are coming to me, particularly for meditation, are like-minded. They are looking to shift their energy. They're looking to be with their tribe, the same type of people, thinking the same way about life, having experienced the last 2 years in the same way. Where before I maybe felt like I would go to a studio and I would teach yoga or meditation, and I could have any number of people in the room. The people that come to me now come with exactly the same mindset, and they're coming because they want to level up, they want to shift their energy up another level, they want to be with like-minded people, and it's a beautiful thing to be part of. I'm really so pleased I opened my own studio in my back garden, and it means that the right people are coming together, which is great.
Yeah, and I mean, perfect kind of transition to the PHA and people coming together. I think, at a collective level, we're now seeing such an expansive interest in the PHA. Last night, I believe there was a kind of what we call for those who don't know, PHA, People's Health Alliance, is now actually beyond the borders of the UK. So we have primarily a number of projects we're running around integrated healthcare, but the real action is ultimately going to come from communities, and the communities using the framework of the People's Health Alliance to enable holistic healthcare, mind, body, and spirit within their community. So, Victoria's led up to that perfectly. So the right people coming together to heal themselves through helping others, right? So I may have kind of answered the question I wanted to ask you, but so the affinity for PHA, I mean, how did you find out about the PHA? What are you hoping, that the PHA does for you and for those that you are connecting with? What do you see as the anchor for you in working with the group that is the People's Health Alliance?
Yeah, I think it's been quite a journey. At early stages of the pandemic, I joined Stand in the Park, and I joined Us for Them, having 2 primary school age children. So I've been quite a strong activist locally in my community and nationally. And so obviously word of the PHA came through. For me, I think it came through Stand in the Park, but honestly, I don't know. I feel a little bit overwhelmed with the number of groups that are here and the amazing kind of like wellspring of life towards positivity jumping up and saying, right, we're going to make a difference. So I'm pretty sure I came to PHA through people at Stand in the Park, but also sadly for us, my youngest daughter has been quite poorly, and I've been reaching out to various alternative forms of health. There's no way the NHS can help her with what's wrong with her, and my mum has suffered with ME since I was 17, so I very much understand the needs of people with chronic fatigue, which my daughter has. And so I was looking for other people to support her, and when I came across them, I thought, oh, this is also something I could be part of to help other people with what I do. So yeah, it's a bit of a 2-pronged approach, wanting to make a difference and then needing support myself.
Yeah.
So I'm on both sides of the coin. I'm receiving help and also hopefully supplying help.
Brilliant. Absolutely. And that's how it should be. And we're just getting started, so, I mean, we're very lucky, in our kind of area, in our community, in the part of the UK, we have some tremendous talent. And I think it's a very positive, as you say, very positive energy. But health is everyone's business. And we're all going to suffer at some point, some obstruction in our health. Everyone can identify. And many, many people, sadly, are losing either faith in public health care as it stands today, or they can see the writing on the wall, or they just have been, they've just tried to believe, so to speak, and are realizing that actually nature knows best. So, no, that's an absolutely a brilliant, kind of place, I guess, just to kind of close off. But we're so thrilled. I mean, any last thoughts, Victoria, from yourself before we have to say goodbye?
I just hope that we at the PHA can become more widely heard about, and I'm really keen to spread the word, because we've always in my family turned to alternative healthcare and alternative health education. For us, the NHS had always been like the last resort, whereas that can be the opposite for many people. So I'm really hoping that we can spread that mindset amongst other people, because we see some amazing benefits from alternative healthcare, and I just hope that other people can realize that too and benefit from it.
I'm sure they can. Yep. And I mean, we've already transitioned the UK, so Spain, France, Canada, Australia, the US. So all very exciting. Yeah. Well, no doubt we'll see each other very soon. But, all the best for your little girl. And lovely to speak to you today, Victoria.
And you, Nicole. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Take care.
Take care.